Hello everyone, back at it again in my little yellow kayak. Just launched the kayak. We've got bright blue skies and a little wind. We've got a southwest wind. You can see a little bit of a ripple on the other end of the pond. And that's where I'm headed for. But I can see there's some grass and weeds that have grown up since I've been here last. And I thought just to get going, maybe I'd try to put a couple fish in the boat. And so I've got my micro Texas rig rod with me. That's a 7.2 Corrado medium light. And a baby goat, a Z-Man baby goat in the deal color. And I just want to kind of gauge the fish's activity level, and I think this is a pretty good way to do it. You know, if they're shallow, if they're at all active, they should eat this micro Texas rig. And I can just kind of gauge their activity level and try to come up with a plan, because I haven't been out for about 2 weeks. It's been really hot. We did some traveling, and anyway, now I'm back, and I'm just trying to come up with a game plan for today, but really the rest of the week too. There's a couple people that got out a little bit before me, so I'm also kind of keeping an eye on them and seeing which way they're heading so I can go in a different direction. But it doesn't take too long before I got my first fish. They really like that baby goat. They like the full-size one too. And the billy goat, if you don't have a frog or a toad, the billy goat makes a pretty good frog. He's not a giant, but I'm on the board, and really I just launched. And I was fishing the outside edges. You see where the grass is topping off there in the middle of the screen, on the top middle of the screen? I was fishing the outside edges of that stuff. And I got one to go for it. There he is. Thanks for playing, bud. I know it's a little hard to see on camera, but there was some schools of bait going by too, and so in between fishing the swim platforms and outside edges of grass, whenever I'd see one of these schools of bait go by me, I'd just cast to the back side of the bait. That's kind of a little trick. So the bait moves away from the bass that are following them. So you don't want to cast to the front of the school, you want to cast towards the back of the school. Anyway, it worked out, and got another fish to pick up that baby goat. I got about a half a pound of grass with it. That's all right though. So just in the first, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, I got the skunk out of the boat, got a couple fish. I'm feeling pretty good, and now the rest of the trip I'm just going to go exploring, really. On this next fish I made a little bit of a mistake, but that's all right. I'm just fun fishing, but I left it in because I wanted to, I don't know, kind of explain what happened here. So there was another school of bait. I'm casting to the back side of the school, and I'm feeling for a fish picking up the baby goat, which it does right there. I set the hook, I reel down to him and set the hook. But I've got another lure dangling in the water. I think that was a Super Fluke, disco violet colored Super Fluke. And the fish was getting close to my my other line there, and I didn't want him to tangle me up. So I disengaged the reel, and that allowed enough slack for the fish to throw the hook. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just, you know, average sized fish. But I just want to explain what happened. So if you don't keep tension on the fish, they can easily throw your bait. So that is either disengaging the spool or letting the bow in your rod come out. Those are two easy ways for you to lose fish, like I just did. Anyway, I kept fishing. I think this was a Super Fluke fish. Yeah. I was trying different lures, seeing if I could get some fish to go on something else besides the baby goat. And I like the Super Fluke and Disco Violet for these kinds of conditions. We've got bluebird skies, and the Disco Violet has just a little subtle purple flake in it, but it's semi-translucent, transparent, and so I feel like it's a good color for these skies. Bright sun, really no clouds at all, fish get a pretty good look at your baits under these conditions. This fish was something a little different, and he went after my Super Fluke too. And the name of the game with these toothy critters is to get them in the net ASAP before they cut you off. And I was a little lucky. I got this one in the net pretty quickly. And I just have to reach around carefully with my fingers so I don't get cut or hooked. It's always the pickerel and the small bass that give me the most trouble. There he goes. Off to go and slime somebody else's gloves. So I kept fishing along and I ended up in a channel area, and I casted out my fluke and I let it dead drift down towards the bottom for about 10 seconds. You can fish a fluke a lot of different ways. Usually I fish them pretty fast, but there's at least 4 different ways to fish a fluke. You can V-wake it on top, you can fish it fast, you can fish it slow, you can dead drift it down, do a bunch of stuff with it. Anyway, once I started reeling that fluke in and giving it some action, there was a bass on it, and I don't think he would have come all the way up to the surface to get that fluke if I just started my retrieve as soon as it landed. So that's another little trick to get him to go sometimes. You just drop it down to their level and then see if you can get him to chase it. Once you get him chasing it, usually you can get him to commit. And my battery died right after that fish. But I fished around a little bit more. I didn't do too much else. You can see I'm getting bounced around by some boat wakes now. But that's okay. The morning bite was pretty much done. I think on my next trip, depending on the weather, I might bring a fish finder and try to fish a little bit deeper with a drop shot or just some other deeper baits, maybe some deep cranks. See how I do with that. It didn't seem like there was as many fish shallow as there had been earlier in the summer. It's during the middle of summer right now, and we're just coming off a few days of 90s temperatures in the 90s. And so the fish, I think, are moving a little bit deeper. So I'm going to have to adjust. And if we have cloudy conditions, you know, maybe I'll throw a spook, maybe I'll throw a whopper plopper, see if I can locate some more fish. But for not being on the water for a few weeks and just coming out here blind, I felt like this was an okay trip, and I've got some ideas for next time, and that's pretty much all I wanted out of this trip. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Just like all my other videos, I'll list all the gear in the video description so you can duplicate what I was doing out here today and hopefully have some good luck in your home lakes, wherever they might be. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!